Welcome back to Predicting the NFL with Mickey G. It's now week 7, and last week we had one of our best weeks of all time, actually. It actually might have been our best week of all time. I don't know about percentages, but we went 13-1, so it was the least amount of losses we've ever had. And I don't think we've ever had a one-loss week before, besides like the playoffs or something. I think back in 2017 we had a 14-2 a couple times. We had a couple 2-loss weeks. 2018, the best we ever had was a 3-loss week. 2019, best we ever had was a 3-loss week. 4-loss week was the best we ever had in 2020. So 2024, 13-1 is in fact the best we've done. We got the game of the week correct. Upset was incorrect. It was the only incorrect game we had. I had too much faith in the Jaguars. That's my bad. And we got the Crap Fest correct as well. The Jersey team, that was the Bills. That was the Bills. And they did a great job. They beat the yucky Jets, and I did pick them as well. So that was great. Overall, this season now we are 54-38, 3 of 3 in the game of the week, 2 and 4 in the upsets, 3 of 3 in crap fests, 4 and 2 teams are when I wear the jersey, 3 and 3 now in my jersey picks. We're 3 in a row. In that department, we've had 3 in a row games where we've picked the jersey correctly. Week 6 all time, we are 52-33, 4 and 1 in the game of the week, 2 and 3 in upsets, 4 and 1 in the crap fest, 2 and 0. Teams are 2 and 0 when I wear the jersey, and I'm 2 and 0 in the jersey picks as well. That's how we did. Let's go over last week's games. Well, the Colts and the Titans had a gross and disgusting battle. Joe Flacco did play, and so unsurprisingly they won. However, he didn't have the best game. Will Levis was bad as usual, threw a nice interception to lose the game. He also tore the ACL of one of the ball boys or something. He had a couple great images there. The Texans completely destroyed the Patriots on Drake May's first start. He did okay, but had a lot of turnovers going on. The Steelers destroyed the Raiders. Once again, Justin Fields looks mediocre and is able to get the win anyways. The Chargers beat the Broncos, only a 7-point game, but they were pretty much in the lead the whole time. Bills, like I mentioned before, they got a big win over the Jets on Monday night. That was a long one, went down to the wire. And Rodgers had another Hail Mary, but then he threw a game-losing pick, so that was funny. The Jaguars got destroyed by the Bears. Defense looked awful. Receivers kept dropping touchdowns. I think Gabe Davis had 2 dropped touchdown passes as well as 2 caught touchdown passes, so he was doing a lot on that field. It was ridiculous. Washington and the Ravens, another 7-point game there, but the Ravens were kind of ahead in this one the whole time. They were able to get that one. The Browns and the Eagles had a real stinker of a game. That was gross, disgusting. The Eagles were able to get it out, though, and Sirianni was taking the victory lap for beating one of the worst teams in the NFL for some reason. Bengals had a gross one against the Giants, only allowing 7 points, but they're only scoring 17 themselves against a terrible football team. So they're not looking too great. The 49ers and the Seahawks had a lot of scoring going on there on Thursday night. 49ers did end up coming away with it, and they're looking a little bit better. We'll see how they continue it next week. The Packers destroyed the Cardinals. Jordan Love and the fellows are back, and they're moving. The Buccaneers had a huge game against the Saints. They went up early, and then the Saints crawled back, and then they're like, all right, let's not make this a game, and then they ran away with it, and this final score, 51-27. The Lions embarrassed the Cowboys. That was disgusting. The Cowboys looked awful, just a terrible game to watch, and the Lions just played with their food, basically, is what happened in that one. And then the Falcons, they beat up on the Panthers. Not a great game for them. Falcons looking really good right now. They're top of the division, and they're getting pretty close to being the top of the whole conference there. I mean, outside of the NFC North, they look like they might be the best team there, at least the last couple weeks. And they're undefeated in the division, I think. But that's, I think, enough for the recap. Let's talk about what we're going to do this week. Let's make some predictions. So the first game we have is the Patriots at the Jaguars. So this is the second game in a row in London for the Jags. And I don't know. Here's the thing. The Patriots are real bad, all right? They lost to the Dolphins a couple weeks ago, and that's embarrassing. However, the Jaguars are playing embarrassing football as well. Hopefully last week's destruction will maybe jumpstart some things and they can go out there and they can play a good football game. Not holding my breath though, a lot of bad performances. ETN really had a stinker. I have faith in the Jags and I do not have faith in the Patriots or Drake May just yet, especially because the team itself is just not great. So I will be picking the Jaguars in this one. I think I said it was the Crap Fest. It's the Crap Fest. Next is the Dolphins at the Colts. If I had two Crap Fests, this would be another one because this one's also a major stinker. Anthony Richardson expected to start. Tua still injured, so it's going to have Huntley on the other side. So a real stinker of quarterbacks matchup going on there. However, I think the Colts are just better than the Dolphins overall, and there's always the chance Richardson either plays poorly and gets benched or just looks bad and gets benched, and Flacco comes in and saves the day anyways. So I feel like I got to go with the Colts here in this one. I don't think the Dolphins are good enough to beat any real football teams, which is why their only wins are the Jags and the Patriots. Next is the Titans at the Bills. Titans look bad while Levis is bad. The Bills should be able to get this one easy. They had a big win last week against the Jets, and I think they're going to continue that here, so they're going to get that. And next we have the Bengals at the Browns. Browns look awful. They're still starting Deshaun Watson. They just traded away Amari Cooper to the Bills. That's a big and exciting thing for the Bills, but I don't think it's gonna matter. They stink. They're real bad. The Bengals aren't great either, but they're definitely better than the Browns. The Bengals can beat the bad teams, and they're going to struggle against the good teams, and the Browns are bad, so they're getting this one. Next is the Jets at the Steelers. Big trade for them as well. Went after Devontae Adams. Aaron Rodgers cried about Mike Williams being bad and messing up a route or something and him throwing a game-losing interception. So now Devontae Adams is in New York and suddenly he's injury-free. The Jets are bad. I don't have a lot of faith in them. And Russell Wilson potentially getting the start this week for the Steelers. I am of the opinion that Russell Wilson is a better quarterback than Justin Fields. A lot of people are talking about, oh, well, with the line, if it's collapsing and stuff and Russ won't be able to escape like Fields. Yeah, but Russ probably also changed the protection to make sure that he doesn't need that in the first place. He's a lot smarter of a quarterback than I think Fields is, and I think the Steelers are going to have a lot more success and be able to score a little more points. Steelers getting that one. Next is the Broncos at the Saints. This one I'm struggling with. One of the worst Thursday night matchups we're going to have in a while. No Derek Carr, and a lot of the Saints team is injured in general. I originally had the Saints picked in this one, but I think I might have to switch it up here. They have too many injuries. Rattler is bad. Surtain is out for the Broncos, but I feel like the defense itself is good enough to win this game. I think Bo Nix is better than Rattler. I don't think Bo Nix is good either, but I think he's good enough to beat the Saints. Originally was going with the Saints in this one, but I think I'm going to switch my way to Denver in this one, actually, getting the win on Thursday night. Next is the Texans at the Packers. Both these teams looking pretty strong right now. Potential game of the week candidate, but we have a better one coming later. The Texans have had some pretty good games, but they've also had some disappointments as well. They haven't been they haven't looked as good as I thought they were going to be this year. The Packers, on the other hand, Jordan Love, when healthy, is playing really, really well. If he can get those turnovers down and stop playing like Brett Favre and be a little more Rodgers-ish when it comes to the turnovers, I think they're going to do a great job. The Packers I'm really high on right now, so I got to pick them over the Texans. Next is the Raiders at the Rams. Raiders are a little bit of turmoil. Rams are in a weird spot. However, they are coming off a bye, and I think that's what's going to be the main thing for them, helping them get a victory in this one. Coming off a bye, the Raiders are in a little bit of turmoil. Quarterbacks, they're changing. AOC got his start last week, looked not very good. I think they're going to stick with him this week, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think the Rams are going to be better. Potentially, Cooper Kupp is back as well. That's going to be a huge boost for the offense, so I think the Rams do get this one. Next, we have the Chiefs at the 49ers. This is actually our upset of the week. This game is in San Francisco, and the 49ers have looked pretty good last week. I think there's a good shot they get revenge here in this one. The Chiefs have been close in a lot of their games, been able to sneak out victories. I think regular season Shanahan is going to lock in here and get them the victory against the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs take their first loss, and they're going to drop down in that spot. So Niners getting this one, actually. Next is the Ravens at the Buccaneers. Buccaneers I'm high on, but Ravens are kind of on a bit of a tear right now. I think a 4-game win streak, so they're looking pretty good there, and I don't think that stops now. Derrick Henry is running well. Lamar Jackson is running and throwing the ball well. Flowers is having himself a pretty decent season. I think they go into Tampa and they get themselves a victory. Next is the Chargers at the Cardinals. Cardinals I'm not hot on. Chargers I am. Their defense is looking good. Their offense leaving a little to be desired, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they don't really have any strong number 1 receiver. They don't even have a really strong number 2 receiver. They just kind of have a couple of guys that are all like 3-4 area. They're trying to play the number 1, so they're relying on that run game a lot, but I think they are still good enough to win this football game, so I'm going with the Chargers. Next is our game of the week. Moving into the NFC matchups, we have the Lions at the Vikings. This is a strong divisional matchup, and here's where I'm thinking. The Lions have looked really good the last couple of weeks. However, I think this is probably the best defense they're going to face all season. I think it's the best defense in the league. And Brian Flores, has been making quarterbacks look silly. And Jared Goof likes to goof. So I'm thinking he's going to have some goofy moments in this one. I think the Vikings coming off a bye are going to be a tough team to beat. I think the Vikings do get this one. They stay undefeated. They remain the only undefeated team in the NFL after this week. But this is definitely my game of the week. A great division matchup. They're also at home in Minnesota. So that's another spot going towards them. The Vikings picking in this one. And next is the Seahawks at the Falcons. This is our jersey game of the week. You might be seeing the Algie Crumpler jersey now. If you follow me on TikTok as well, you're going to know exactly what this jersey is. Here's the thing. Falcons, I'm really high on. Kirk's been looking great so far the last couple of weeks. The offense is scoring points, and their defense is playing well enough to win them football games. The Seahawks, on the other hand, have a terrible pass defense. I'm not a big fan of it. I think the Falcons can stay ahead by using this offense, especially last week, actually. Their run game was what was big. They had, I can't remember if they both got 200, but Algier and Bijan both had at least 90-plus yards rushing, just were unstoppable on the ground game. I think they have the option to go both in the air and on the ground, and so the Falcons, I think, are getting that one. The Eagles at the Giants. Both these teams are bad. However, I do think the Giants are worse. The Eagles are having some turmoil there, but they're winning games anyways just because I think their schedule is a little easy. I guess the Eagles in this one, but I don't think this is going to be a great matchup. And last is the Panthers at the Washington Commanders. Washington had a tough loss, okay? They had, I think, 4-game win streak, and then they ran into Lamar and the Ravens, and they got stuck in the mud. They're going to be looking to bounce back in a huge, big way. I'm sorry to the Panthers fans, but you will be receiving another loss again. And I hate to see Andy Dalton go down like this, but the team is just not good enough to support anything going on there. So Washington is going to get that one. And the teams on the bye this week are the Bears and the Cowboys. The Cowboys, they really need that bye. They're looking quite stinky. They have a ton of injuries. They're going to need that to heal a little bit. And the Bears, they're looking okay, but I think their schedule really heats up after this bye week, if I'm correct. They got Washington after this, which is going to be a big game. They're going to need to be on their top of the game for that. Cardinals not that great. Patriots not that great. But then after that, they have a gauntlet of the division, which is going to be tough, followed by the 49ers and then more of the division. Yeah, the last, I want to say 8 games of the season for them. 7 or 8 games for the season are going to be really tough for the Bears. So while they're starting in a good spot right now at 4-2, they're going to be in a rough spot soon. So rest up for this bye week and stay healthy so they can have a chance going on. But that is all for this week. I think I moved pretty quickly in here. But yeah, thanks for stopping by, and make sure to come back next week. And I will see you all later.